Good morning, everyone. I'm Stuart, and as you know, I despise depression and worship freedom. I believe that we're smart enough to figure shit out on our own, and that whatever created us, God or science or whatever, put us here for some purpose. Maybe even the aliens. Ooh. I must get home and leave these beautiful surroundings. Because I'm on bail.
As a little boy, it's like, first of all, the woman down next to her, I mean, have you ever seen me with someone who is like way double what I do?
Who was it who told the truth? The bitter truth. The truth they didn't want to hear.
I have a problem. Should I use weaponry or civility?
All these stories, the jokes, the songs, the dancing, they're just the prequel. Wait till you hear the story.
Now, who was it who told the truth? The really bitter truth. The truth we didn't want to know.
The army of one.
Coming at you.
Why are so many people afraid of dying when they sit in the front of a screen all their life?
What's wrong with her? It's me. Because other guys like her. Apparently, well, her husband doesn't, but apparently some other guy does.
Ain't got nothing on me.
But I've
You've
got
been this before.
I understand I'm as old as the earth itself.
I don't resist arrest. I think it's for the best because they've got nothing on me.
What are the goals of the new clown order?
To level the playing field. There's enough resources and money in the world that everyone could easily live the way I'm living. Much better, actually. But people are pigs. And I believe in wealth. I like wealth. I like nice shit. But I'm not a pig. And I don't need 50 cars. What kind of idiot needs... Or I don't need a 50,000 square foot home. And if I have a big house, it's only because I'm going to have a lot of kids and women to fill it with. Other than that, I do this is more than, well, this is a little bit, I could use a kitchen too. But yeah, so I'm just, I think a revolution of honesty. We need people are just fucking honest. Everything works fine.
TikTok is a weird fucking place. I was really skeptical of the platform for a long time. I thought all that was posted there was just like cringy dancing videos, and fair enough, there's a lot of that on there. But I decided to just give it a shot over the summer, because why not? There's a lot of weird, isolated communities on the platform. Just like these other big ones like YouTube and Instagram, there's this mysterious algorithm that determines what kind of videos you see on your page, just based on your engagement with other things and whatever. And so the experience of the user is totally individual, and I'm sure that a lot of people that use the app have never heard of Stuart Rosenthal for exactly that reason. So who is Stu? Well, to start, he is a now 62-year-old former criminal lawyer living in Toronto. He has 2 teenage children, he is currently divorced, and is living in a hotel. I first discovered Stu sometime in August 2021 when he had the username New Clown Order. And I was just immediately taken by his mannerisms. He would just use these insane filters in all of his videos, and he was just visibly intoxicated, either at his hotel or some fancy restaurant. Seriously, like 95% of his videos are just him vibing out in his hotel or some restaurant. And so, after a few weeks of following him, watching his videos, watching his just wild live streams, some questions started to pop up. Like, okay, if he doesn't have any money, like he keeps saying he doesn't, how is he affording to live in this hotel and eat out at these fancy restaurants every day? what is he smoking? Just what's up with this guy, right? And so I started digging, and the first little insight into his life that I found was the GoFundMe that he linked to in some of his accounts, which was titled SOS Save Our Stew. And here's what it said: I am a 60-year-old man who simply want to chill and enjoy my life. People don't like the way I live. I am being silenced, harassed, and bullied. I own my words and actions. I was taken into custody over a dozen times for expressing myself. I am losing everything, including my freedom. I need money for legal fees. I have assets and can easily support myself, but only if I am allowed to tell my story. I acted badly 30 years ago, half my lifetime ago. My younger brother Hartley took his life. I could nor deal with it and use drugs to cope. A horrific spiral destroyed me. I came back, but the hostility, jealousy, hate, and envy is overwhelming. If I can speak my mind, my life story, as tragic as portions of my life have been, will be so inspiring to so many. Even if I am a scumbag and a pathetic human being, I should be allowed to tell my story. Please help this old fool to survive. And so, while I was doing my research, I figured that the best person to ask about this stuff would be Stuart himself. So, I did a little Zoom interview with him, and then a couple weeks later, me and my friend Julia went up to Toronto and met him in person. Okay, so before we get into us meeting Stu and the interview and everything, let's just take a few minutes to go through some of my favorite of Stu's videos that he's posted, just so people who haven't seen his stuff can kind of get an idea of who he is and why I wanted to make a film about him in the first place.
Yo, this is Stu at ya. I am the leader of the Illuminati. It would be a good idea to be nice to everybody. People who aren't nice aren't liked by aliens and Illuminati members and a lot of other really powerful beings. So, stop clowning around or they'll laugh. Will be ours, people. This is real. Really real. Yeah! The biggest problem I have is that I'm a little bit too smart, or a little bit too cute, or a little bit too something. So, women just won't leave me alone.
1, don't pick up the phone, you know I'm gonna call and get some junk in alone. 2, don't let me in, you know you'll have to throw me out again. 3, don't become a friend, you know you'll only wind up in my bed in the morning.
Please don't take what I say too seriously, because I really don't know what I'm saying. I'm just gibberishing. And if you get me mad, you don't know. I'm very angry sometimes, you know. I have a problem with anger. It's not good, yes. You understand what I mean? Yeah, I thought so. Well, I think it's time to go. But I can talk normally too, if I wanted to.
You don't wanna fuck with me? I know many OGs. I'm a little wimp, sissy. But that's okay. Chicks dig me. And OGs respect me. So I'm not a criminal. And I'm not a womanizer. But women come on to me, and sometimes I have difficulty saying no. You claim to be a player. But I did your wife. Yeah. Whatever you like. Hate me or love me, I'm on top. And there ain't no motherfucking way I can stop. Sorry. It's who I am. The guy next door to me, who the neighbors call the fat, stupid Korean guy, and I don't know his name. I think it's either Anthony or...
So what, I get drunk? So what, I get high? I'm just having fun. I don't give a fuck who sees. I am the stew. How do you do?
I was fearful, asleep, and weak.
and still others feared me. Now, I'm none of those things. I fear myself. I passed the MMPI. Yeah. I'm not an addict, and I can prove it. Yeah. Hey, how you doing, man? Why exactly am I supposed to get a job? Why is my life so horrible? And why can't I just simply enjoy the horrors of my life without being bothered? Okay, this is how I look at shit. I don't think God exists, because if God exists, there's only one. There's no other possibility. And if God exists, that entity or energy or whatever knows everything. It's all knowing, right? So that wonderful being created an incredible boy who was my little brother, named Stuart Rosenthal. And 32 years ago, this wonderful God that you say exists killed my baby brother, or he doesn't exist, or it doesn't exist. So I can't understand that. And because I've not spoken to or been contacted by any representatives of this God or entity, I'm completely ignorant and don't know. But on the off chance that it actually exists, I've respected it, but I don't think anyone else I know has. Sorry. Fuck you. And thanks, God or whatever, for putting me here. Become alive. We're gonna do now. Boom, 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 boom. I did not realize I was talking for 30 minutes and nobody was there because I didn't turn on the fucking thing. Been working out, chilling, like a mega villain. But I'm pretty mystical and magical. I have a magic wand, you see. I'm just chilling and illing like a mega villain. All these people think I'm crazy, you know. I bring love, even in the kitchen. I don't need no Lamborghini, fuck a cop car. This ain't no guitar, it is a cock.
Yo,
Yo, how you doing?
I'm chilling. Why is it dark?
Because I was sort of like, now it's not.
Why are you in a hotel?
Because I like hotels.
Or is it like the pigs?
It's irrelevant. Yeah, I mean it's pig-like. It's pig-related. Yeah. And there's people staying at my house, so they're whatever. So I'm not going there.
Hey, you got big muscles or what?
I don't know how high
We pretty much went straight to Stu after we dropped our stuff off. We met him in front of his hotel that he's living in, and funnily enough, he asked us if the other people were in the car.
Great to see you. Hi. So is everybody else in the car?
Oh, it's just us.
Oh, it's just you. Okay, I thought it was. Okay.
No, yeah, it's just us.
Apparently there's some other group of people from NYU who also want to make a film about him, and I think he confused us for them. He asked us about NYU a couple times and only seemed to realize that it was us coming to film him once we were already there. But anyway, the first day we didn't do too much. He just took us on a little tour around the area around his hotel, then we went to dinner. he told us he didn't get much sleep the previous night, and even then, I think 96% of the time he was doing all the talking.
You know what? I have a Sony and a GoPro if you want to use it.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Yeah, because it's like fascinating. So, like, I was sort of living out of it for 15 years, like coming in rarely, and it's like everything's brand new.
Right.
Like they're just like developing at like insane pace. So you're in NYU right now?
Oh, I don't go to NYU.
Oh. You can drive that way. Like the green pea blocks are pretty cheap.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And then we can walk around St. Lawrence Market. It's an interesting area.
Okay.
I often skip nights of sleep.
We noticed.
Well, last night I didn't go to sleep at all. That's why I look really haggard and tired.
No, that's not how I noticed.
Oh,
I
no.
noticed
I'm
'cause you were
saying.
posting at like 3 in the morning.
Yeah, because I
We
was
were
excited
waking
about
up
this,
to
right?
leave. You didn't go live today.
No, I
I
didn't.
was looking
Oh,
in the
I did this
car.
morning. Early in the morning I did.
What?
During breakfast. But it's weird that I don't understand why that one account, like blasted, whereas I put the same thing on the other accounts, they don't.
I think, it must just be because that one has more followers and it's...
No, but they all have the same, and then that one just took off for some reason.
Yeah.
But that one was like 75% female, and my other one's like 54% female, which is still high because internet users is 75%.
Yeah.
Social media users is 75% man. Right. They have so many weed stores, but it's all the government selling it.
Yeah.
In Canada, like bikers, for example, will refer to people who aren't part of the game or whatever. They'll say civilians.
Oh, okay.
So like you leave civilians alone, right?
Right.
Civilian, like if you heard a civilian, it's bad for business. Right. Now, if you want to look in the market,
Yeah, okay.
I used to eat sugar like constantly, and I just thought it wasn't good for me, and I stopped eating. I feel so much more energetic, but calm. Like it really a vape thing in my room because I vape but very little because it makes because of COVID. I vape because it irritates your lungs, so it kicks your immune system into overdrive.
All right.
Like so, it's actually good to smoke during COVID. I think the world is in for like major turmoil. Like unless someone like it's so divisive and hate-filled. Like everybody's like divide and conquer, and people are like just insane. Like a few people say, you have to become the world leader. You have to take over.
New Plan Order.
You know what? But it would be easy to do. I think that. Well, except now, I think if I went to Israel, there's 65 parties.
Wow.
Right? So anybody can get a seat if you organize properly, right? It's not that hard to win a seat. You only need one seat with 65 parties. You can build a coalition. And I think I'm so good at doing that. I could build a coalition. Go ahead with maybe the biggest nuclear arsenal in all the world. I can just say, fuck it. It's peacetime. You don't want peace. But now Israel, the ultra-right, has formed a coalition with the Arabic Party. Which is bizarre. Okay, TikTok in China is an arm of the government trying to influence international people. They banned TikTok in China.
Yeah, they did.
They don't allow it.
Thank you.
So I had no warm clothes there, so I just had it delivered by Uber.
Oh, nice. That's cold.
The second day we got to go a little deeper with Stu. We met him in the lobby of his hotel. Then he took us up to his room and showed us all the drugs that he has.
I've started doing. I have shrooms. Like I don't do shrooms because they taste terrible, but people send them to me for free.
Oh
So
my
I have.
God, room for free.
People send them to me.
And one thing I think I should mention, he doesn't mention it here, but Stu talks about it a lot, which is that he does a lot of DMT.
But one thing that I've been doing tons of DMT.
Yeah.
Like macro dosing. Like,
How much a day do you do?
I don't do it every single day, but when I was doing it, I was doing between a half a gram and a gram a day. And like a dose is 5 milligrams. Like it's like doing like 100 hits of acid, but it doesn't. It, it's almost like I control whether I want to see, like visualize things. Like I don't really trip unless I close my eyes and start making myself trip.
Yeah.
Like I don't hallucinate even if I take like 20 hits of acid.
I'm sort of experimenting on myself. I don't think anybody in history has ever done the amount that I'm doing. Like I was doing, at one point I was doing like 20 to 50 grams of mushrooms every day. To the point where they don't do anything, but I think they don't, I don't trip on them, but I think they help my body to grow and my brain to grow, my nerves to regenerate. I mean, like I didn't have this strength and coordination throughout my life. And I think part of that is the effects of the dimethyltryptamine.
He said he has some guy that synthesizes it for him and puts it in a vape pen, which he had with him, and he would take rips from it all day. The trips don't last super long before Stu is back to his normal weird self, but man, when you see him take that pen rip, you know you're in for an entertaining 15 or 20 minutes. In fact, he took a pen rip right before we started the interview, and let me just show you the first question I asked him and his response. So, let's just start with why did you first start making TikToks?
Just have fun. And I think I believe I have a story that's like incredible. To record my life and legacy. For aliens. Aliens, if you're up there.
You think aliens have TikTok?
If there's any aliens or something, or if this is a simulation, like, wow. Like, so what? Like,
Yeah.
maybe I'll come out as an alien. People think I'm interpreting for the deaf, which I'm not. I shouldn't do it because who knows what it means in sign language. Just obviously, he just told us the meaning of life. What if it does mean something?
Maybe.
I should learn sign language because I'm hands with my fast. I'm fast with my hand.
Stuart is a complicated person with a really colorful past. He had 2 sisters and 2 brothers. However, in the early 90s, his younger brother Hartley took his own life, which is something that I think really affected Stu in a negative way and sent him down a darker path.
My mother was, and is, incredibly intelligent. She was almost perfect until my younger brother died. And I don't know how anybody deals with shit like that, other than say, it happened. It's awful. It happened. And move on. And remember the fun and the good times and the bad things. And although I'm not really a spiritual person, I guess I am spiritual. I'm not religious at all. But I believe that everything is permanent, and physics and science tells us that. So everything that's happened is there, it's happened. You can't change it. So I accepted it, and it's not easy. But once you accept it, you look at it without emotions, so you can understand it. And so I'm as cold as ice, and I can be unemotional, but it takes some effort. And I'm lazy, so.
Really hard. I mean, he be the day himself, and we spent the day together. And I just bought a really nice house in it with a huge yard, and I had 2 German Shepherds, I had fancy Italian sports cars and other cars and shit. And he came over and we were having a really good time. He stayed for dinner, I think. And he was saying, oh, you have this, you have this. I said, yeah, but 3 years ago I had nothing because he was 3 years younger than me. He said, oh, I'll never have this. I said, of course you will. Like, I never thought I'd have this. Like, it was like a dream. Like, and I dropped him off and he killed himself. And I just, at the time, I believed he did it because I had succeeded. And so I just couldn't take it. And I wanted really to kill myself because I just didn't want to go on. But I couldn't cause the pain that I suffered. So I numbed myself and I used heroin, which was the perfect way to numb yourself.
And my father, I never really knew or understood. But he was like clearly a genius of some sort, like mathematical. But he became a chartered accountant because after high school, he worked right away. So he lived at home until he was 28. 28 or 29. Worked and saved every penny and never went out or except bought a brand new Cadillac and made sure it was in perfect condition. I grew up sort of without a father. Like my father lived at home but had nothing to do with kids. Like he wouldn't come home after we had dinner. So we'd see him on Sunday, we'd go out for dinner with the family. But other than that, he wouldn't get up until we went to school. And he wouldn't come home until we...
Born and raised in Forest Hill, a small but very affluent neighborhood in Toronto, Stuart had a very privileged upbringing.
Surreal. Like, it was idealistic because it was like a protected enclave, which its own private police department, paid for by the public, its own private education system, paid for by the public, its own private everything, paid for by the public. So it was sort of like the old way where the royalty got special treatment, or but sort of how it is now. But it was more grotesque then, I think.
Also, an interesting side note is his late uncle Michael Canton, whom he kept referring to as the Walter White of Canada.
On my mother's side, I have 2 uncles. I had 2 uncles. One is still alive, who's brilliant, kind, and decent, and he got dragged into and hurt by his brother over and over again. But the uncle who the bad uncle, who was just a psychotic idiot, was a psychotic genius of sorts, lived with his mummy until his mother died. Wanted to be a doctor because every Jew of that generation wanted to be a doctor. I don't understand why.
And so what was that uncle's name?
It was really Morton Canton, and he later buried his past and changed it to Michael Canton, Dr. Michael Canton, even though he wasn't a doctor. He was like a really wimpy person, like with no confidence.
Yeah.
Like crazy almost. He worshipped his mother, lived with her until she died. When he was arrested, he just ran over a cop, broke his leg. Got caught with like over $1 million in cash, 50 or 60 keys of speed, right? And he starts crying, "Oh my God, my mommy's gonna be so embarrassed. Like you're a fucking gangster. Like give me a fucking break. Like really, like my mommy's gonna be embarrassed." But so he failed out of medical school because he missed his mummy. He literally was homesick.
And what kind of stuff did he run?
He had a meth lab.
Oh.
Have you distributed it? It was in 1972, I think, he got arrested.
Stuart went to law school, and by the time he was 22, he already had a doctorate in law. However, according to him, he barely spent any time going to classes, only showing up for exams. He instead said that he spent most of his college time taking classes in a local acting school.
And so I went to acting school just here at 81A Front Street, New School of Drama. So
Oh, wow.
Wow. How long did you go for?
when I was in law school, I went to acting school instead.
Oh, okay.
Because I had free time because I
Right.
didn't go to school.
Did you enjoy being a lawyer?
I enjoy everything I do. Yeah, I enjoyed it except when I got drawn into the game occasionally and wasn't myself. Like once I wouldn't defend someone if I didn't feel they were had some justification in doing what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
It could be desperation, stupidity, and things like that. But if someone was like I would never take any sex offenders, except once I did, because I was 100% sure the man was innocent. But like I turned away like a lot, like pretty good work, like that would have made me really wealthy at the time. When I was disgusted by the people's behavior. So I defended criminals, not scumbags. I defended people, not scumbags. I can't think of any client I ever defended who was a scumbag. Although a lot of the police and Crown would disagree, and maybe the public would, but I don't. I practice morally.
Are there any other memorable cases that stick out in your mind?
The ones I lost, which aren't many, but probably like a dozen cases I lost over the years. Like the winner is like a big deal. But loser, like I won it, okay. But if I lost it, that fuck, what did I do wrong? Or like maybe if I did this, maybe I replay it in my mind. But I mean, there were cases that were like front page news or lead stories on the news. But I never self-identified as a lawyer.
Why is that?
Because they don't self-identify as anything. I am what I am. Like, law was something I did at the time. It wasn't me. Being Stuart is being Stu, being real, being here, that's me. But what I do is what I have to do. So I didn't have to do law, but I had to make money. I had a stupid degree, so I played the game and made money. But in some ways it was selling out because it wasn't my dream. I didn't want to be a lawyer.
During his tenure serving the court system, he created many connections within the organized crime world of Toronto. Connections which still benefit him to this day. Stu doesn't really have any money to his name technically, so all these expensive things he does every day are backed by his mysterious business associates. In fact, there's this guy he talks about sometimes in his videos or his lives that he calls the Big Fish, and I asked him who he was, and apparently he's one of Stu's benefactors.
Who is the Big Fish?
He's an alleged mob syndicate guy who's he's never been charged with anything. He rolls with really rough people, and he knows his shit, and he's really smart and capable, and so he'll do legitimate business with illegitimate people, just like sort of I did, right? Like,
And he's a friend of yours.
yeah,
Right.
Benefactor of sorts. Like he's been. I mean, I wouldn't have survived this without his help.
Right.
Yeah.
Richard Malcolm Bridgman was 31 when he was murdered. He was a Brinks truck driver and a father of 2. On Saturday, December 14th, 1991, 4 masked gunmen ambushed his truck and initiated a shootout. Bridgman was shot in the hip and leg, and while trying to reload his gun on the ground, he was shot point blank in the back with a shotgun. The 4 men escaped with $154,000, Bridgman's gun, and the keys to the Brinks truck. They had all met in Collins Bay Penitentiary, and this is where they planned the robbery. There were 2 getaway cars, one of which was found with what turned out to be a fake bomb on the console of the car. The clay used to make the bomb was a specific type known as clean clay, a material that was rare in Ontario. This led police to a theatrical supply company that imported the product from the US. An anonymous tip gave the police the name of Dennis Smiznuik, the leader of the group, and through his prison records they were able to find the names of the other 3, Curtis Schweer, Jake Faulds, and Wayne Judge. Interestingly, Smiznuik had been taking lessons in theatrical makeup, and during the robbery he was wearing a mask and false beard that he had made himself. The clean clay Smiznuik used was purchased at the same theatrical supply store in which he bought the materials to make the disguise. There was a dramatic moment during the trial in which an officer used one of Smiznuik's masks found in his home as a mold to make a plaster casting. When the casting was removed, the face was a 1-to-1 likeness of Smiznuik. Hair and DNA found at the scene of the crime as well as the getaway cars were linked to all 4 gunmen. While awaiting trial, Smiznuik met 2 soon-to-be-released inmates and convinced them to commit copycat crimes in order to draw police attention away from himself. During conjugal visits with his wife, Smiznuik gave her detailed maps and instructions on where to commit the crimes and how to recreate the masks and bombs exactly how he had done in the first robbery. These copycat crimes never happened. However, in 1993, one of the men was arrested for an unrelated robbery charge and agreed to tell the police about Smiznuik's plans, as well as give them the name of a third party involved in the original robbery. 2 police officers posing as the inmates contacted Smiznuik's wife. Believing them to be the real ones, she handed over his maps and instructions. She was arrested for accessory and conspiracy to commit armed robbery. After contacting the third party, they admitted to disposing of the weapons and other related items the previous summer and led the police to a frozen swamp in which they were hidden. After an exhaustive search, the police found the remains of the shotgun used in the robbery, 2 pairs of handcuffs, and the keys to the Brinks truck. All 4 of the gunmen changed their pleas to guilty. So, what does Stuart have to do with all this?
Yeah, at the time I was a heroin addict, and a friend of mine and I were in the heroin business of sorts, and his friends decided to do a Brinks robbery, and I had access to Porsche dealership vehicles at keys, so I could use them at will on weekends as long as they were returned. So they used vehicles from that lot, and I was charged with assisting. But I was acquitted.
And that is related to that famous picture.
Yeah, that picture where I was heroin sick for the first time in my life. I hadn't slept in 2 days because you don't sleep when you're, it was in a police station and really in rough shape. And then I get to the court and the cop hands me a paper bag and says, put it over your head. And so I take it. And as soon as I get out of the car, where the reporter's I take it down and cover my hands so it looks like I'm not handcuffed. Instead, I look like a perp. And I'm walking. He's so pissed off, and he walked right into the wall just as that picture's taken. Well, I walked him into the wall. Which shows that even when I'm at my worst point, I still got it under control, bitches. Really. I was a middle-class fucking rich kid, never been to jail, never had anything go wrong. I was heroin sick, in cuffs, and I still walk that fucking bitch into the wall. With respect.
Although this may be the most high-profile case Stuart has been involved in, it is not the only time he's been arrested. Far from it, actually.
Can't even remember. I was arrested for credit card shit as a heroin addict, probably a dozen times or 20 or something like that. And then I had...
what were the details with that?
I had access to duped credit cards or fake credit cards at the time. Like the network wasn't as sophisticated in 1990, so you could get cards and people would feed them into the system that were fake numbers completely. And someone had someone at a bank and things like that. So, and I went and nobody ever noticed anything, but then I went and something screwed up and I got caught. And that's a nothing offense, but I got sentenced to 90 days. Nobody ever gets sentenced for 90 days or time for a first offense credit card. Like, I'm the only one in the world who's ever done it. And there was a heroin possession that got thrown out that had nothing to do with me. It's with a chick in a car. It's her car. She's driving, and there's like a tiny amount of heroin. But I didn't have it. It had nothing to do with me. I didn't use heroin at the time. And then there was a prescription, like probably hundreds of prescription drug charges. Because I had a prescription drug ring, more or less, where I sit in this hotel room with cell phones, and people would run around. I had a driver drive around junkies to go into stores and I had a girlfriend who would answer the phone, Dr. Smith's office. And I'd get on and I'd say, yes, I wrote that prescription. Because again, it wasn't very sophisticated, so we'd get about 1,000 perks a day in that kit. that paid this hotel bill, and the heroin, and that was about it. So like, we're making tons of money, but like burning it just as quickly. And she was like really a troubled woman, having stabbed her last boyfriend 40 times.
The one who died.
Yeah, she died, I think about 10 years ago, like 20 years after I last seen it, but I don't know or more, but I don't know what the circumstances are. About 5 years ago, I think it was roughly 5 years ago, I got sucked into lending someone money. They paid me back for a portion. Then I lent them even more money, and I was charged with possession of proceeds because I had part of the money was paid back to me, or fraud, because I was a participant in it. Except everyone else who participated in it made a profit and was not charged or paid back the thing. But because of my past, they came after me. And again, I listened to lawyers who just fucked up the thing because I didn't have money to fight. I was fighting with my ex with a divorce. I was broke, and I hired very, very bad lawyers, very incompetent lawyers. And I have recordings of that, and I'm deciding what to do with that because I don't really want to harm anyone now. But then I don't want to like destroy a lawyer's life because he screwed me over, because that's what lawyers do. So I don't know. I said that's one thing I'm deciding what to do.
So now let's open a new can of worms. Why was Stuart's law license revoked? Ricardo Francis Scarpino was beginning to reconnect with his family when he was murdered outside of a steakhouse on January 20th, 2008. It was the night of his engagement party. He grew up in a relatively nice middle-class home with a large family that settled in Victoria, and when he graduated, he moved to the United States and became a bounty hunter. In 1993, there was an incident at a Los Angeles Red Robin during which Scarpino shot and killed a 24-year-old man named Alm Trammell. It's unclear what caused the fight. Some outlets say Scarpino was trying to apprehend the man. Others report that he was meeting the man to settle some dispute involving weapons sales, but we do know that Scarpino fired 7 bullets into Trammell that day. The court ended up ruling that it was self-defense. He was taken back to Canada and served 27 months for firearms violations. After being released, Scarpino fell into the world of organized crime. He was a drug dealer. He played high-stakes poker games, sometimes carrying up to $100,000 in cash, among other things, including allegedly being a hitman for hire. In 1998, he was arrested and convicted for conspiracy to import cocaine into Canada. However, under some mysterious circumstances, all charges were dropped against Scarpino, and he was allowed to walk free. It's unclear why the charges were dropped at all, and before he died, Scarpino had purchased over $1 million worth of gold. So, okay, what does this have to do with Stuart's law license being revoked?
I was in business, in the chemical business, and I was someone who was doing life and who knew somebody through me. I had a sort of a telephone relationship with, and I knew friends of his, so I was in contact with him fairly regularly, who was doing life because he killed a cop. And so he said, "This is kid getting out of jail. You know, he's a troubled kid, but he's a decent guy. Can you help him out?" And the troubled kid was around 35 years old or 40, close in his 30s. He moved to Toronto. He was a kid from a fairly decent family, from a decent like middle class Italian family, and he went to the States and was working as a bounty hunter. And somebody pulled out a gun. He was haunted by having killed someone, even though it was self-defense, and like he suffered PTSD. Got sentenced to like 15 or 20 years for a pretty big coke conspiracy. He won, was released, and the cop killer guy asked me to help him, and he came to Toronto, and I sort of helped him set up a jewelry business. He was going up and back from Toronto to Vancouver and selling jewelry, but he got back into the coke game and ended up getting murdered. And one of the things he did was he bought, from a company I was involved in, he bought $6 or $8 million worth of gold. And the gold was missing after he died. But then the people who invested with him filed complaints against me because I sold them the gold, unrelated to my law practice. a legitimate licensed company sold him legitimate gold. It was picked up from the Scotia Bank by Brinks. It was delivered to him in Vancouver. He signed for it, but it went missing, and they all filed complaints, and a lot of shit happened. And it was really, in trauma after he died, because I felt responsible, because he was sent. I was supposed to help him. I was supposed to protect him, and things were going well, and he fucked up. And I thought, just like if I lost a case, I should have done something. I should have so it really bothered me, and it brought back memories of my brother dying, like another loss of like, as I consider him a little brother, And so I didn't respond to correspondence and shit, which had nothing to do. Well, I did, but they weren't satisfied. There was missing records, and I foolishly used a really stupid lawyer who fucked up the case. And in the words of the lawyer who handled the appeal, Eddie Greenspan, who was like by everyone's recognition, one of the greatest lawyers, or the greatest lawyer in Canada, he passed away a couple of years ago, said, "You lost for 3 reasons: Joe DeLuca, and Joe DeLuca, who was my lawyer." But I fired him a couple days before the original hearing, and Eddie parachuted in and tried to win, but I again I didn't listen to what I thought was right, and I followed other people's advice and lost the case. But it was in a way the best thing that ever happened to me, because I was caught in a trap of making lots of money, spending lots of money, and not growing or learning. And my kids were getting older, and what was I going to do? And so if that didn't happen, I'd be a rich asshole partying with my ex and buying fancy clothes and new cars and shit. And instead, I'm struggling to be happy instead of numb.
Also, just want to add this. During the trial in which his license was revoked, he brought in a psychiatrist to testify to the board that he had ADHD and that it was being treated in order to explain his bad bookkeeping. The psychiatrist's name was Dr. Meyer Hofer, and in looking him up, he claimed to be the uber guru of ADHD treatment in adults or something like that.
You're the kid who never gets invited to a birthday party. You don't have any play dates. You have no successes in your life. You grow up thinking that you weren't in the lineup when the royal jelly was being handed out. You have unhappy situations because you don't have friends.
And the board did not accept his diagnosis of Stuart due to the fact that they think he didn't have enough time with him to actually make that determination. And there's a funny little exchange between him and one of the lawyers that I'll read out now.
Thank you, Dr. Hofer. But the question is about establishing a baseline before treatment. I understand that there are many options in place that could assist him in gaining organizational skills, life coach, ADD coach, etc. But in terms of appreciating where he was in his ability to maintain his books and records, documents before treatment, the information we have, the baseline, is established on Mr. Rosenthal's reporting.
The baseline was Mr. Rosenthal as...
Excuse me. Reporting to you.
It was Mr. Rosenthal acknowledging to me that his record keeping was abysmal.
And the indication that the response to therapy was successful was, he said, "Now I feel I could do them."
No, we've had a lot of discussions about that. He's much more organized. He's able to stick at things for much longer. He's able to do detailed work, which he was never able to do before. He's got more organized in organizing his home life and whatever files he has in his business. He's made jokes that he feels like had he been this organized before, he would have been a gazillionaire by now. It's very clear. It's very clear that there has been a dramatic change in his executive functioning capacity, which, by the way, would not have been fully achieved just by treating him for the attention side of the coin.
So the baseline afterwards is how he feels about what he'd be able to do now in your conversations about that.
No,
Well, Dr. Hofer, what is it besides your discussions?
Because, look, let's be very clear. You're very clever. The implication that you're putting in your questions is because Mr. Rosenthal told you he's so much happier and better now, he's all right. I've already, again, asked and answered. Asked and answered now a few times. Nobody else is going to tell you to move on, so I'm going to tell you, please move on.
Also, in 2019, his practice closed due to professional misconduct. So, that was a lot. And now that all of his crimes are out of the way, let's take a nice DMT break. In fact, I think I'll just play the next bit of the interview pretty much in its entirety because there's just a lot there.
Should I vapor now?
You can do whatever you want.
It's your show.
Yeah, but you have to hold it in for 30 seconds, so it's boring.
Oh, it's okay. It'll be a nice shot. Getting back.
Actually, it does make a tiny bit difference. I realize why I get along with women. Because when I meet anyone, and not like as I meet women, 15, 12, 11, I immediately assess them. And most of them are like, no, they're too young. They're too young. No, I'm married. But I'm biologically programmed when I see a woman, is she married? Is she around the right age? You're too young, but otherwise I'm married.
Oh, that's what the assessment was. I was about to ask.
Yeah, no, but I don't do it consciously. But I realize as soon as she's saying, "Oh, too bad, she's 20 years too young." I think that's why women like me.
Why? Because you assess them?
No, because I just go, whatever, I'm not going to reproduce with you. But yeah, if we were the same age, like, whoa. But I understand it. Age differences.
Are you still staying celibate until you're
I'm celibate at the moment. All right, so yeah, I'm celibate. Sorry. I'm not. I haven't been celibate in the past. I'm living in this hotel room. I'm sorry. The same way I assess women, every woman looks at me and thinks, forget about what he looks like. I want. A woman told me that, Stuart, women only want you for two purposes. Your money. I said, but I don't have any money. So why do they want me? Or your semen. But I know I could sell it. But I won't.
Sell your semen? Sell what?
My semen.
Oh, okay.
How would you sell it? How would you sell it?
Women can sell their eggs.
Right.
So I equalize the playing field. Like, why can a woman get 50 grand or 100 grand or whatever to be a surrogate? And
they're sperm donors. How much is sperm donors?
Nothing.
Oh. Okay.
That's the
they're
difference. $10?
No, I just said they're donors. I guess they're donating it, right?
Yeah, but know how hard it is? No pun intended. No, you get $25, but you have to be a professional student at least. You have to either be in medical school, dental school, pharmacy. Like you can't just have a BA. So, in law school, a few women have, since I'm TikTok famous, and I almost gave in because one was stunning. And I said, hey, could I have sex with you? But I go, no, you can't have sex. But one talked to me for a couple hours and then said, oh, like, why don't we go back to your place? And I said, okay. I said, how old are you? And I said, no, sorry. Like, I grew up when condoms didn't exist. Like, hookers might have used condoms, but nobody used condoms because they put girls on the pill as soon as they had a period. AIDS isn't really transmissible very easily from women to men. Period. Like, because the AIDS virus gets zapped unless it gets into a lymph node, right? So it can only survive in your body for a few seconds before your immune system gets it, unless it gets into a lymph node and takes over. Mm-hmm. There are no lymph nodes near male body parts, where there are women, because women have to be prepared for foreign invaders. But I don't think there's many, if any, scientifically documented cases of a man getting it from a woman. I mean, yeah, if they're having really crazy rough sex and there's blood all over, it's possible. There's many women who claim to have sex with me. A couple might have it on film, but it's a body double. And the ones who are claiming, like, I don't think you'll have any women stand up and say, I had sex with Stuart, who are telling the truth. So the ones who say they've had sex with me are liars, and the ones who haven't, whatever.
Now, maybe just to preface this next part of the interview, let's quickly talk about a series of videos he put out over the summer on Facebook that he filmed on his Ring doorbell camera before he was kicked out of his house, where apparently, at least according to him, several guys in his neighborhood were accusing him of sleeping with their wives, all while he was playing really loud music and throwing trash on the lawn and stuff. So his neighbors called the cops, and since the cops couldn't really do anything to him because he really wasn't breaking any laws, they knew of his past and just wanted to intimidate him, I think, and here's what he did.
Juwan, because he's harassing me. Like, this is harassment. He can call the police, and the guy next door, whoever becomes stupid, I don't know his name, I think it's Anthony or Andrew something. They call him the stupid guy, but that guy can be wrong with her. It's me. Because other guys like her, apparently. Well, her husband doesn't, but apparently some other guy does. So she's doing it. So these neighbors who aren't doing their wives think I'm doing their wives, but my God, like, I'm not these two guys anyways, not their wives. Like, have I fooled around with a married woman my entire life? Yeah, I'm 60 years old, I've made mistakes. Am I to be hated for it? Then fucking hate me for it. But fuck it, as little boys, like, first of all, the woman down next to her, I mean, have you ever seen me with someone who is, like, way double what I do? Like, give me a break. Like, men usually don't like women who are heavier than them. So the fact whether she's beautiful or ugly or smart or stupid or whatever, I'm not going to go out with a 165-pound woman, especially one who. But yeah. Really, if you have to be afraid of me, you're a fucking coward, and you're afraid of your own shadow, because I'm a fucking harmless person. I've never hurt anyone except their feelings. Is there some sort of problem? Is there a problem? Have I committed any offenses? Pardon? Okay, can you stay off my property? We can talk? Okay. Yeah.
Some of your neighbors called today saying that you were just making some noise and you were shooting off fireworks.
That's a complete lie. That's a complete lie. That's my opinion. There's cameras all over here. There were no fireworks and no noise. I was playing drums early this morning. I didn't even do anything until it was after 10 a.m., even though at 8 I'm allowed to, or 7. And why? Mo assaulted me. That's all on video. Why is he allowed to live there and intimidate me and make false allegations?
So why were the police parked outside your house first?
Which time?
I think it was back
when
in
you
August.
when you took the doorbell off.
The police were parked out of my house like 20 times in the last year or two.
Right. Well, I think this was in August.
Okay, in August this went, okay. This originally started, okay, I'm the white guy in the neighborhood, right? Which is fine. They didn't mind me at all when I was married. Or I wasn't married, but when I had a woman, they felt safe. But I was friendly with everyone, as I am always. And so, but I had the kids, and I didn't really pay attention to the neighbors. But I was always home, so everybody thought I never worked. Because when I was a lawyer, court starts at 10. So if you want to be downtown now, if you want to back then, if I wanted to drive to Toronto, if I left at 8, I'd get here at like 9 or 8:45. If I got left at 10, I'm here at 10:30, 10:20. And I drive quickly sometimes. And so I'd leave the house 9:30, 9 at the latest. Like I'd take the kids to school, I'd take a shower, get ready. So I'd always be home for dinner. Like until we were separated. From the time my son was born, and my daughter was born, maybe 20 meals until the marriage dissolved, relationship fucked up. Maybe a dozen meals without them. Dinners. Like I wouldn't travel without them. I did twice because I had to for a lot of money. Like for business, I just couldn't not go. Guadalajara, like sort of in the middle of the drug war, with drug dealers, and like a ex-military guy to do some business and shit. And so these guys at night, like for the 5-star hotel, this and that, they'll have like, they go, okay, let's party. They have like 6 hookers come over. I go, I'm going home. Bye. I go up to my room and like call my kids and talk to my kids. Like they thought I was so weird. Like, but like all these women here are like, why? Like, what the fuck? Like, women, like, I love women, but like, I consider, like, I used to think I had to compete for women, but they outnumber me, so they have to compete for me. Like, doesn't that make sense?
Mathematically, yeah.
Yeah, and especially, I don't know if you've noticed in Toronto, like, and I thought I was imagining it, but, and it makes sense with overcrowding and nature trying to keep population under check. That, or maybe it's normal, I don't know, because I'm old-fashioned, but it seems like half the guys are gay. Did you notice that, or is it, not that there's anything wrong with it, like, the more gays, the more women left for me, so like, no, like, I don't understand why any man would be homophobic. Does it, like,
No.
Like, I love women, so if the men want to be with men, yeah, there's two, like, each man gone, there's another woman for me. But I'm monogamistical.
What does that mean?
I believe in monogamy, but it's mystical because I don't think it works. I just made up the word monogamistical, but I usually say I'm monogamish. Like I'm Jewish, I'm monogamish. I'm a little bit monogamish. Like I don't know if I don't know if monogamy works. I really, really believe in it. No, but I believe in honesty. So yeah, like I wouldn't have cared if my exes or woman I'm with cheated, or I would care if she cheated. If she said, "Well, I'm going to go sleep with this guy," and I'd say, "Okay, whatever." I think, do I want that in my relationship? Oh, say no. Sorry. See ya. Right? Mm-hmm. Or if she said, "Oh, this happened when I was away," and I got drunk. I said, "You know, that's really stupid. Why'd you do that?" Like, you know, whatever. You know, so I believe in openness.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And as for what's happening with his house now,
I won. Just how big I won is the only choice.
Right.
I don't lose. Like.
So what's happening with it? Like, are you going to move back?
No, I never want to live there. No. I mean, it's been dealt with in a way that's beneficial to me.
Right.
They're really stupid because they think I'm weak and stupid or lost or misguided, and like I don't give a fuck because I know I'm gonna win. So like that's not caring.
So after the interview, we walked around a little more. Stu was still taking rips from the pen pretty regularly, and then we went to lunch.
Going down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
Like there's a skate park.
Oh, okay.
There's no one in it. Like, so, but it's hard to do with like to dance and film your thing. But I was just putting on my phone and dancing. Like I'm just so into music. Like I love music. Like under Canadian law, I don't sit very often.
Yeah.
Like I don't.
No, dance.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'll just be myself. Like fuck with that.
Yeah.
Are you alright?
Yeah.
Like he was like I don't work out, but I'm always like working out. It's like
Got a little cold outside, so we moved indoors, and Stu decided to do a live stream.
If you stop me up, I'll never stop. Running hot. Hello, mate. Stop me up, I'll never stop. Thank you. Taking places that you never seen.
I don't know.
Then after lunch, Stu said he wanted to go to a Halloween store, which I thought was a pretty funny idea, so I said yeah, and pretty much everything before, during, and after our trip to the Halloween store was pretty wild, so I'll just play that now.
And my mother communicated with like as soon as I caught up to school, she said that's so bad. It's just hate. Because my sister, I don't understand it. She's a girl. First of all, I don't understand. The videos are based on facts. I can't say that.
I don't know.
Slandering niggas telling the whole world, oh, I'm gonna get the same amount of money these guys do.
He's like making a video.
That's
I don't think he's yelling at her. Yeah,
no. They're just doing a video.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I tell you this way, I'm gonna title this video a challenge to Nico's Aesthetics to create an OnlyFans account. Don't say shit. Don't even make a response video, dog. If you got the balls, all the shit that you're talking, make an OnlyFans for let's say 2 weeks, and then post your earnings. If you make $5,000, that's halfway to 10. And now you can say, okay, your issue is like me. Your issue isn't Flashman Wade. Your issue isn't Kevin Portillo. Your issue isn't Malik. Isn't Air Thug. These are my allies, bro. You don't even built like us, bro. Your issue is that you are afraid to put yourself out there. Your issue is that you don't like your life. You don't like the fact that you're...
I don't think he wants to be in competition.
would be in our hearts. We wouldn't have dictators telling us to do something that goes against our conscience. And so today we find ourselves in turmoil. We find ourselves in a great time.
That's clownish. He's a clownish person. I can't think. How can he be clownish?
Protect us, Lord. Please keep us safe, Lord. Please keep the demons back. Fight back the demons, Lord. Thank you, Jesus, for protecting us and keeping me safe, Lord. Thank you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. In this time of trouble that we are in, what you saw right now, that a woman rushed up to me. And that is because of sin. We have broken God's law. God's law. And people's hearts are confused, people's minds are filled with danger, are filled with disease of the mind, are filled with diseases. When meanwhile God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. We were meant to have God's character formed in our minds. But because we decided to do our own thing and turn away from God, we see the times that we are living in. We see the crimes. Our God is a God of choice. And He's given to every mankind freedom of choice. He says in Ezekiel 37, verse 5, says the Lord, I have no pleasure in the death of the wicked, but that the wicked turn from his way and live. Turn from your evil ways, for I will die, O house of Israel. God also says in Deuteronomy chapter 19, He has said, I have put heaven and earth before you, blessing and cursing, life and death. Therefore choose life. Freedom of choice comes from God. He does not want us to be forced to worship Him, but He would want us to worship Him because of who He is, because He created us.
Forgetting how I'll do better as a Joker, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Just pick stuff. Like, should I get a bunch of this? Yeah, this one.
You're a cool clown.
Like, I think it's just. Like, pick some colors.
Yeah, but yellow won't show up in your hair.
Like, you're gonna do it because I can't see myself. No, you don't do it here. Like, which colors do you have?
Whatever you want. It's not going to show this.
Sorry. That's enough. Where's it? Yeah.
People hear you coming now.
Oh, here.
Hearing not to be a wow.
Like, just pick stuff.
Yeah.
Aw, these are cute, aren't they? Glows in the dark. Is this good? Tell people it's real. No matter what you do, don't have a mask on. Why do I have a mask on? God, I got confused. Is this enough?
Yeah, exactly.
It's up to you.
2 hats and a mask.
Yeah.
You can get more if you want.
My daughter's gonna be really mad that I wasn't there to
No worries, no worries.
can't believe I didn't bring money with me because. Hold on. I'm gonna go outside and use my phone for a second.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye. So, right here, and also, people are not seeing me.
So, people wanted to know how many kids I have. Well, here are 3 of them. And they all look like me, don't they? You don't need any DNA tests.
And yeah, we went to dinner with him one last time that night. It wasn't too eventful. Instead of a mask, he was wearing women's lingerie on his face, and he took a huge pen rip in the restaurant and just started waving it around and being pretty loud. I didn't give a shit about the other people in the restaurant, but I sort of felt bad for the people who work in the hotel and have to deal with him every day. Also, I should just mention that this trip was totally cursed. The first night, not even 5 minutes after we dropped Stu back off at his hotel, I fucking rear-end some guy at a red light. Luckily, we were in Canada, and the guy was really, really nice about it. Thank God. And the second night, after we spent the whole day recording the interview and everything else, I lose the fucking micro SD card for the camera, and it literally took us 45 minutes turning the whole hotel room upside down before we found it. And if there's one thing you don't want to do in a grimy hotel like that, it's turn everything upside down. Cum stains on the wall, hair in weird places, and we even found a cucumber under the bed, so there you go. And it's probably still there, we didn't even touch it. So, what has Stu been up to since I saw him? Well, here's a few highlights. He live streamed himself at a Mercedes dealership buying 5 brand new cars. He was having some really personal phone calls and said how he found some people who had the money and all the finances for the cars were taken care of and all that. He said he was trying to convince his son to let him get the car for him, but his son didn't really seem into it, and also that he was begrudgingly getting a car for his ex-wife just to save face. And then he went outside and left his phone live streaming on the salesman's desk, and surprisingly, his uncle came in and sat down at the table and started talking to the salesman for like a pretty long time.
They don't make the 600 anymore, do they?
They do, but those are order only. Like you can't see one. It's the 600 is now a Maybach. The Maybach Mercedes. Yeah.
Convertible?
Yeah, for myself. Don't you think it suits
Where are you gonna put the kids?
in the SUV? In the trunk.
Okay.
My fans love me.
He has been wearing panties and lingerie around his neck and face pretty much everywhere he goes as a protest against the vaccine requirements, which is like, okay, dude, cool.
Don't you know, girl? Don't you know, girl? I am the one for you. Don't you know, girl? Don't you know, girl? I am the magic stew. And I wear these undergarments with absolute respect and admiration for the women who wore them before me. Like, truly, like, it's nothing rude. I just love them.
And so I mentioned earlier that there are some other people who want to work with Stu. Well, he's been collaborating like crazy, doing music videos, going on podcasts, doing interviews. And, well, here's just a little taste of some of the stuff that he's been doing.
TikTok with me?
Yeah, but I'm going to take a selfie while we do it.
Can I take a TikTok with you? It'll go viral because you're so cute.
Yeah, I'll
Can I put you in a TikTok? Can I put you in a TikTok? Okay, start again, and...
If I take a selfie with you.
Sure.
Okay, one more time, and only if I can
so
take
creepy.
a selfie.
Kardashians.
Only if I can take a selfie with you.
Sure, sweetheart. Okay.
Only if I can take a selfie with you first.
Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me. Hey, hey. I forget the rest of the words.
Whatever, you don't need to remember them anyway. You look great.
Actually, you do look like it.
And now, this next part is weird. I never expected to put this in the documentary, but I need to talk about Stephanie.
Catch your vibe, Steffi, when you're coming for a ride.
Shortly after I left Toronto, Stu began posting things about someone named Stephanie and had apparently gone live with her, although I wasn't able to catch it. These few posts started becoming more and more frequent, and I guess I'll have to do a little Stephanie compilation here.
You're so fucking precious when you smile. Yeah. Steph.
Got a vibe. Steph, are you coming for a ride? I just want to stay into your eyes. I just want you to stay for the night. Early morning, Steph, if you want a ride. I'm the one, yo. I'm the one, yo. What's wrong with you? Why do you want me? Really? With Stephanie, there's nothing I can't do. She's as evil as I am. Really? Well, if Stephanie's a real evil bitch, the world is doomed. And if she isn't, I am. Makes no real difference to me. I'm down for it. I'm hungry. I better get a big meal. Who knows? I might have a late night. Might have a really yummy breakfast, too. Who knows? Fate knows. Okay, Stephanie, this is my final offer. If you get here before midnight, I'll marry you today. Quite an offer, isn't it? Grow some. Get your... What I was saying is that I deserve happiness. I didn't choose to be smart. I didn't choose to look like this. I didn't choose to be white. I didn't choose to be a man. I didn't choose to be a Jew. I don't see any differences between me and anyone else. But Stephanie, you're mine. I don't know how or why we found each other. It's a miracle of some sort. It's madness. So come join me in my madness. And let's show the world our crazy delusion is pretty fucking chill. And if you don't dig that, just go fuck yourself. Not you, Stephanie. The rest of the world. I love you. I love you.
And sleep is important. That's probably what drove the other ones crazy. Stephanie, you'll get like 5 minutes of sleep every day. I'll give you a break. I won't talk constantly.
Stephanie, I have nothing but my balls and my word. And those I will share with you for eternity. And if you will say you married me for my money, then I don't have. Do you realize that I can do this 20 hours a day? And still make love to Stephanie many times. And do other stuff too. I say simple truths. Nothing really controversial. And what happens? Men, especially old, weak, pathetic losers around my age, especially the white ones for some reason, get all uppity and cry. And kids giggle. Dogs don't even know what I'm talking about. And women squirt. So, like, what am I doing so wrong? Oh, that's for my new partner, Stephanie. She's clearly insane. She's madly in love with me. Not a good sign.
Now, I don't know a lot about Stephanie. She lives in the US, and they met on TikTok, and Stuart wants to get married as soon as possible. I'm not going to link to any of her accounts for her own privacy, but from the looks of it, she seems legit. To be honest, though, the whole situation has some really weird vibes about it. But, you know, Stuart is in love with this woman. And who knows? Maybe he finally found someone who really understands him. But it's currently ongoing, so if you want to find out more, you have to tune into him yourself. So, where do we leave this? I think that Stu sort of lives on his own plane of reality. He's definitely a really intelligent guy, and he's capable of doing some pretty dark things. And despite how open book he seemed with us, I know that there's a ton of stuff he didn't tell us. I think a lot of people look at Stu and see a really sad, lonely individual as a victim of class society, of excess, someone who was born into a world that didn't understand him. Whereas others might see him as someone who was given everything his whole life, and maybe he doesn't deserve sympathy for throwing it all away. And look, I'm not here to make that judgment. And I think I'll just let Stu have the last word here, since it is his story after all.
Do you have a message for your fans?
Be yourself. Just be true to your dreams. Be kind and be true to your dreams. And everything will work out. There'll be horrible days, like, look at my life. And yeah, I had a 22-year head start, which is not fair. But I think I've paid it back a few times. You know? And if I haven't, fuck you. It's too bad. I can't change it. Like, I can't go back and take away my head start. I can't. So I don't look at things that I have as privilege. I once thought of them as privilege, but I don't believe in privilege. I believe that I've been gifted things. And when you're given a gift, you share that gift. Other than that, you're a fucking pig. With respect.
Oh, and yes, I do know where all the bodies are. Well, not all of them, but an awful lot of them. Prove it, bitches, prove it.